A fortress in Afghanistan. 1 month after 9/11. Two operatives from the CIA's Elite Special Activities Division are hot on the trail of Osama bin Laden.
Those first teams were going into the wildest Wild West.
This is the declassified story of how the CIA with elite special forces put down a Taliban uprising, outnumbered 100 to 1.
It's like a scene from Armageddon.
We hear from the people on the ground as it happened and reveal their footage from the heat of the battle.
What's happening? There's a prison uprising.
Caught in the crossfire, the CIA makes a discovery for which one operative pays the ultimate price. America is under attack. Acting on orders from Osama bin Laden, teams of hijackers fly aircraft into New York's World Trade Center. Two more planes are hijacked. One hits the Pentagon. The other crashes before it reaches its Washington target. In under an hour, nearly 3,000 people are dead. It's the worst terrorist atrocity in US history. The nation is in shock.
The United States had been caught so off guard by the September 11 attacks, it just seemed inconceivable that two gigantic towers and in the nation's capital could come under attack by this ragtag group of terrorists from across the world. It was not hard to conceive that there were other attacks underway.
President Bush speaks to the nation and to the world.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice.
The full operational force of the CIA now focuses on one man and his network of terrorists.
Finding bin Laden was a priority from the outset. The head of the Counterterrorism Center for the CIA talked about bringing home bin Laden's head on a pike.
The world turned upside down on 9/11. I mean, the next day it was anything you want from Congress, from everywhere, anything you want, request whatever you want. And we took whole branches from other parts of the agency and expanded rapidly by a factor of like 7.
Well, Osama bin Laden, from the beginning, was going to be a difficult target to go after. He was a practiced clandestine operator.
The CIA knows bin Laden is hiding in Afghanistan. He's found refuge with the Taliban, the ruling extremist Islamic regime. But they don't know his precise location. Even so, very quickly, they develop a plan. Intelligence-driven warfare. For the very first time in American history, President Bush approves a plan using the CIA as a lead element in a war. Operation Enduring Freedom is the invasion of Afghanistan. The aim? To overthrow the Taliban regime and flush out Osama bin Laden. matter of just weeks, the Taliban are in a full-scale retreat. Thousands are captured by America's allies, the Afghan Northern Alliance. On the ground from the very beginning are highly trained covert CIA operatives. They've been sent in to interrogate captives and gain information on exactly where bin Laden is hiding. Just 10 weeks into the war, CIA analysts learn of an opportunity. A chance for their men to interrogate individuals who could potentially lead them to their #1 target. 85 miles outside the northern Afghan town of Kunduz, Taliban fighters have assembled on the road to Mazar-i-Sharif. Their leaders want to negotiate a truce.
Now, these guys were fully armed. They had with them AK-47s, PKM light machine guns, rocket-propelled grenades. They had all the normal armaments that the Taliban and al-Qaeda had.
These men are not just Afghans. There are also hundreds of foreign fighters.
Now, what kind of fighters are drawn to an international jihad from overseas? They are, by their very nature, the most extreme, because to do that you have to have some kind of extreme commitment to come and fight in a foreign land.
At the CIA headquarters, analysts receive intelligence that many of these hardline foreigners are in fact members of al-Qaeda. Some may be high-ranking commanders. Some may even know where bin Laden is hiding. The CIA decides to send in specialist interrogators. So they turn to an exceptional unit, the CIA's experts in operating in hostile zones, the Special Activities Division. Outside the city of Mazar-i-Sharif, a two-man Special Activities Division team prepares for their mission. Dave Tyson is a Central Asian specialist. He is a fluent speaker of Dari, the language of America's ally, the Northern Alliance. With him, Johnny Michael Spann, Mike, a 32-year-old former Marine from Alabama. He's been with the CIA for 3 years. This is his first field assignment.
So those first teams that were going into the wildest Wild West that you can imagine. If they got into a firefight with the Taliban, there was no cavalry going to come in. They were on their own at the tippiest tip of the spear of American power.
The team's mission? To persuade the surrendering fighters to reveal precisely where bin Laden is hiding. A warning of what the Taliban are capable. As a result, inside that underground prison, the fighters develop a plan. They outnumber their Northern Alliance guards by 5 to 1. They know that just across the compound, there is an armory. It is packed with rockets, RPGs, machine guns, and mortars. They decide if they are not released the following morning, they will take matters into their own hands. They'll execute a full-scale breakout. If they do, the CIA's 2 covert agents will be caught in the middle. The 2 undercover agents, Mike Spann and Dave Tyson, arrive at the Qala-i-Jangi fort to begin the interrogations.
For them, the fighters were a source of intelligence. Let's get as much as possible intelligence from them and information. This was about 2.5 months after 9/11. And I think this of course, put the military and especially the CIA under an enormous stress and pressure to deliver the information, the intelligence.
Spann and Tyson need information to lead them to bin Laden, or intelligence on the next planned al-Qaeda attack.
It was, the jobs of these interrogators to a large extent to figure out, well, what were these plans? What was coming next? And there was intense pressure on them to get answers to these questions because there was not going to be another way to get those answers.
But the fort is far from an ideal setup for questioning. The CIA interrogation manual sets clear guidelines on how to cross-examine a detainee. Interrogators should have time to memorize a detainee's history, to present files, dossiers, and photographs. They should have time to repeat their questioning, or to lure the prisoner into making the first move. Most of all, they should be able to keep the prisoner separate from other captives. In the open-air compound of the Afghan fort, playing it by the book just isn't possible. The fort is filled with hundreds of Taliban, guarded only by a handful of America's Northern Alliance allies. If anything goes wrong, they are on their own. The question is, do they go ahead with the interrogations? Or do they abandon their mission and pull out? It's a huge risk, but one they feel they must take. They adapt to the situation and improvise a plan.
First thing you need to do when you're trying to gather intelligence and you've got 600 prisoners is work out which ones know nothing, which ones might know something, and which guys are the real gems in terms of intelligence. So that first morning, they were processing the prisoners through this filter, if you like. Mike Spann was leading the questioning. So he was the guy doing the face-to-face with the prisoners. Dave Tyson was stood back with an AK-47, kind of watching over things. And then you had a few Northern Alliance soldiers on the battlements or at the entrance to the prison, bringing the prisoners out. But there was very few Northern Alliance guys around, so the security was very light.
After 2 hours, they notice one particular captive. He is unusually pale-skinned and is wearing items of Western clothing. They suspect he speaks English. They realize this could be the one man they can communicate with directly. The one man they can break. But the prisoner refuses to talk. Spann and Tyson have to move on, but not before the prisoner's image is sent back to the CIA's Langley headquarters and cross-referenced with known al-Qaeda operatives on the CIA database. But identifying him will take time. He may be what they term a clean skin, an extremist not yet known to the CIA. So for now, Spann and Tyson are in the dark. In the basement prison, the hardline Taliban fighters realize what's going on. They will not succumb to interrogation.
I'm convinced the Taliban, they were not prepared to be questioned by Americans and not by the CIA.
Bear in mind, you've now got 600 of the hardest, most extreme prisoners in Afghanistan at that time, face-to-face with, as they see it, the enemy. And not just any old American enemy. These guys who are questioning them, they know they are special forces or CIA. These are the cream of America's warriors. These are the people of anyone that they most want to kill. And so you can imagine how explosive this confrontation is.
The Taliban decide the next group to be brought out to the compound will trigger a breakout. On the other side of the fort, a German journalist and his cameraman are in the northern compound headquarters building, waiting for permission to interview the prisoners.
Smoking a cigarette, waiting, birds singing, wonderful blue sky, cool, fresh air. A very peaceful setting. And then all of a sudden there were 1 or 2 explosions, grenades.
A Taliban prisoner detonates his grenade in a suicide attack.
Almost immediately after that, heavy small arms fire started. It was obvious this is not just a couple of shots being exchanged. This is a real heavy gunfight. And then I grabbed my set phone and ran for cover in the main building, which was like 20 yards away from where I had been at the time.
CIA operatives Spann and Tyson now realize they are facing a full-scale breakout.
Spann then had a decision to make. Marines do not take a back step. They go forward. They go forward in the face of the enemy.
Within seconds, Mike Spann is faced with a wave of attacking Taliban. Ambushed and outnumbered.
He could have run. He could have run and saved himself, but he didn't. He stepped forward and he decided to make a stand.
Just yards away, Spann's colleague Dave Tyson is powerless to help his friend. He has no choice but to make a break for it, towards the headquarters building. Tyson's arrival is captured on camera by the German TV crew and relayed around the world. This is actual footage of the event. His undercover status is immediately blown. Instinctively, Stout suspects Tyson is CIA.
I mean, to have an armed civilian American dressed like an Afghan on the ground meant something in the field of Secret Service.
Where are you from? American?
He is very controlled, but you see he's very upset and nervous at the same time. And from, his appearance, I had the very clear impression that he had witnessed something horrible. I asked him, what is going on? This was my very simple question. And he said, there's an uprising of the prisoners.
What's happening? There's a prison uprising. Prison uprising, yeah. So, how do they have got weapons? We stole them from...
Tyson's mission is clearly compromised. He has to think of a way of keeping the operation alive. But he is on his own, and his weapons are empty. By now, the Taliban prisoners in the basement of the Pink House have killed their Northern Alliance guards. They ransack the armory.
Now, at that stage, you had 600 guys armed with AK-47s, mortars, RPGs, PKM light machine guns.
Northern Alliance allies take up defensive positions and mount a counterattack, trying to keep the Taliban at bay. It's a vicious firefight. From the shelter of the headquarters building, CIA agent Dave Tyson can hear the battle escalate. Unless he can control the situation, the mission to extract vital information from the prisoners will fail. And an opportunity to track down Osama bin Laden will be lost. Agent Tyson uses journalist Stout's phone to call for backup. But he has a problem. He has no contact number for the US Special Forces Quick Reaction Force stationed locally. He has to improvise.
At the time, I didn't know, but later I checked the numbers from our sat phone. It was the number of the American embassy at Tashkent, Uzbekistan. That's where he called.
From the fort just outside Mazar-i-Sharif, Tyson calls a number he believes is his only option. The embassy in Tashkent patches Tyson through to the US Army Central Command at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida. MacDill route him to the Special Forces local command base at Mazar-i-Sharif. By the time his emergency call reaches a fellow CIA paramilitary officer at base, it has traveled 20,000 miles. Tyson gives a full situation report. This is the actual recording of what he said.
We control the north end of the fort. The south end of the fort is in their hands. There's hundreds of dead here, at least. And I don't know how many Americans are. We just need help to free this place up.
Tyson warns that any intervention must be precise. There is hand-to-hand fighting. Enemy and allies in close proximity.
And he made it very clear, he repeated it like 3 times, saying, you can't come and bomb the place.
Can't hit it from the air.
Because friends and foes were so close to each other that they might have killed us by bombing.
On the other side of the fort, the heavily armed Taliban have identified the building in which Tyson and Stout are sheltering. They pound it with mortar shells.
It must have been, I think, a mortar grenade exploding just above the ceiling, which made an enormous impact in terms of acoustics. It was so loud, and my ear went.
In response, America's allies, the Northern Alliance, drive an old Russian tank onto the northern ramparts and bombard the enemy. Caught in the middle of the battle, all Tyson and Stout can do is hunker down and wait for help. Just 2 hours after the first shot is fired, that help arrives. The quick reaction force of US and British special forces that Tyson had requested.
I think it's the Brits who turn up first. In a Land Rover, wearing Barber jackets and jeans, and they're all called things like Scruff and Ginge. It's hilarious. And they're moaning. The driver's moaning. He's saying, oh, there's nowhere to park. You know, meanwhile, there's back. You know, and I was taking all this out. It's just fantastic sort of, you know, the elite of Britain's army, you know, moaning while they sort of casually go about sort of organising this battle. And then the Americans turn up as well, and there's more of them. There's about 8 of them, and they're much more aggressive. Let's do this, let's do that. The first thing they do when they arrive is they send someone up to put eyes on, as in have a peek over and work out what the hell's going on. What are we facing here? How many people? How are they armed?
The team's commander assesses the situation. He has just 15 men. His Northern Alliance allies number around 50. The enemy has 600. Despite this, the quick reaction force goes in and takes on their enemy.
It's like a scene from Armageddon. You've got tracer rounds going to the sky, you've got RPGs firing off. This has kicked off into a major, major firefight. And at the moment, you've just got a few Northern Alliance soldiers there trying to put down the uprising. It is a hopeless situation.
Very quickly, the Special Forces realize they're not going to be able to crush the uprising on their own. They will need to adapt.
The special skill that the Special Forces have is that they are able to handle it, and that they're able to go in with the plan, and when that becomes impossible, they're able to make another one quite quickly. And that's the edge that they have.
Okay, let's go.
Despite the fact that friend and foe are fighting in extremely close quarters, the Special Forces team makes the decision to bomb the Taliban from the air.
The one advantage, apart from their training and their superlative abilities, the one advantage they can very often rely on is air power. Because air power evens up the odds somewhat. You can have a few guys behind enemy lines, but if they can call in airstrikes, they can have the effect of hundreds. Get the airstrikes in, get the enemy's head down. It's the shock factor as much as anything else that puts the enemy's heads down for a few seconds. There's always a danger when you call in airstrikes that, you know, the pilot will get it wrong and drop the ordnance on you. And in any case, in this situation, they were dropping danger close. They were dropping within a fraction of what the safe distances are. But there was nothing, I mean, what else could you do? So the risk of getting hit by their own munitions, the risk of friendly fire was significant, yeah. But I mean, they had no option, they had no choice.
A Special Forces spotter team provides precise GPS coordinates for a bomber pilot circling overhead.
4646. This is 10. We're in position. Over.
They shine a range-finding laser, or SOFLAM, on the pink house, where the Taliban are taking shelter. Above them, an F-18 Hornet is armed with guided 500-pound JDAMs. Weapons designed to be accurate to within just 12 yards.
Copy that. Here they come.
One bomb after another rips through the southern end of the fort.
You hear this sound like a car that's in high gear, sort of decelerated, going woo, like that. And you can see this thing. It just pops out of the clouds like a javelin, coming. Looks like it's coming straight at you, and then sort of, it's obviously off to the side. Boom. And everything jumps. The building that we're on jumps. And you black out for sort of, I don't know, half a second or so, and you sort of come to, you know, it's like you're rebooting or something.
The Taliban retreat past the bodies of at least 100 of their fellow fighters. The respite is only temporary, but it gives the Special Forces the opportunity they need to send in a search team to find missing in action CIA agent Mike Spann.
It's a US Navy SEAL maxim, you never leave a man behind. And it's a British military maxim that you never leave your buddies behind. There is no other decision to be made. We will go in.
After hours of looking and under heavy fire, the two-man rescue team reaches the southern compound. There the spotter's search comes to an end.
He scans the southern end of the fort. I guess he wants to see him, but he doesn't want to see him. It's a horrendous situation to be in. And eventually he sees a guy lying on the ground, and he can see he's wearing blue jeans and a kind of shirt, which is exactly what, you know, CIA SAD operatives would wear.
The search team confirms they found the body of Agent Mike Spann. He is the first American casualty in the war on terror. Under fire, it's simply too dangerous to retrieve his body.
They can go no further. And so in what must have been the worst moment of the man's life, I would imagine, or for both of them, they have to make the decision to turn around and leave a fellow soldier in the hands of the enemy.
They vow to return for him. On the other side of the fort, CIA agent Tyson doesn't yet know the fate of his colleague. He and reporter Arnim Stout are trapped on the roof of the headquarters building. Tyson knows, before nightfall, he must find a safer place from which to plan a strategy for somehow resuming interrogations. Crossing the roof risks them being picked off by a Taliban sniper. Even then, there seems to be no way down. But a Northern Alliance fighter reveals a possible route to safety.
There was one wounded Afghan. He had 2 or 3 gun wounds. Not very serious ones, but on his crutches, you know, he crossed the roof. Someone helped him, and he slid down the wall, and he disappeared.
Using his CIA training, Tyson calculates the risks. They must time their run between incoming bullets.
Hey guys, time to go. Huh? It's time to go.
I remember at one point Tyson just saying, "It's time to go," in a very decisive way. And that was the signal for everybody. And then one after the other, we crossed that roof. We slid down the wall. We ran towards that clay road, and there was a van there. You know, like out of nothing, there was a van as if we had ordered a cab, you know?
Stout is driven through the desert to safety. Tyson can regroup at the CIA's local base. The fate of his mission to locate Osama bin Laden now lies in the hands of the Special Forces and the success of their airstrikes. In the basement of the Pink House, the Taliban face their second night in the fort. Some 300 of their original 600 fighters lie dead. Everyone is convinced that with America's overwhelming firepower, the battle will be over by morning. But no one has foreseen the determination of the Taliban prisoners to fight to the death.
Setting up comms right now, over.
On the third day, further teams of US Special Forces arrive to assist the CIA's operation, together with reinforcements from the Afghan Northern Alliance. Inside the Pink House, there is no sign of surrender. So the air bombardments continue, despite the CIA's concerns that friend and foe are simply too close. But this time the bombs used won't be a standard 500-pound JDAM. This time, they're 4 times as big.
When do we get you guys on the target, over?
The Coordinates are dictated and confirmed.
0, 6.
And a countdown is given.
Elevation 1, 2, 9er. Hey, Mission B advised they're about ready to drop. Pull back at this time.
Journalist Alex Perry joins the Special Forces teams, calling in the strikes.
Boom! You know, you hear it, woo, that. Boom! I mean, it shoots, 300 yards into the sky. Biggest thing we've ever seen. This is suddenly a 2,000-pounder, I learned. It puts a swimming pool-size hole in the wall.
The dust towers 1,000 feet high. But the bomb hasn't hit the intended target.
And we're thinking, that's where we were, that's where all those guys are, that's where the Americans are, they've just hit their own people.
A 2,000-pound American bomb has wiped out a Northern Alliance tank position. Up to 30 Alliance men have been killed. 5 US and 2 UK Special Forces men are badly injured. It's just as the CIA had warned. Friend and foe are too close together for airstrikes.
And you just see all these guys coming out, just, they're grey with dust, pink eyes, and half of them are completely deaf. And we're just thinking, how many people died?
Day after day, the battle rages on.
Several days went by when you had massive bombardments or big gun battles or maybe 200 guys on a parapet firing down to this thing. Nothing could possibly survive. And you go back the next day and it's the same situation and you're back to square one and it starts again.
Taliban deaths are in the hundreds. Still, many fight on. Others regroup in the basement of the Pink House. Will any be left for the CIA to interrogate?
And if you look down on this quadrant, there were hundreds of bodies. And you're like, well, how, it looks to me like everybody's dead. And you could tell that there was almost no one firing back. Maybe one, maybe two. So our assumption was, everybody's dead, but we were wrong.
In their Pink House refuge, the remaining Taliban are armed, defiant, and still refusing to surrender.
I think at some point it was obvious to them they would all die there.
The Afghan Northern Alliance are now in charge of the fort. But how can they flush out the remaining Taliban? They try firing into the building with guns and RPGs. They pour oil through the tiny windows and set it on fire.
This may sound brutal, okay? This may sound medieval and horrific, but bear in mind, they weren't trying to force them out to kill them. They were trying to force them out to accept their surrender.
But the Taliban don't want to surrender. Eventually, the Northern Alliance has just one remaining option: to flood the Taliban from their refuge. They divert a nearby stream directly into the Pink House basement. After 20 hours in freezing water, yet more of the hardliners perish. Somehow, 86 Taliban fighters survive. In the bitter cold of morning, they surrender.
They were starving, they had been firebombed, they had been shot at, they had been frozen with water. They were half drowning. But they came out of that basement largely to a man full of hatred and full of defiance.
To the men of the Special Forces, it is mission accomplished. But to the CIA, it's only the beginning. At last, they can return to interrogate the Taliban prisoners for vital information on Osama bin Laden's hideout. The CIA have to find out if the pale-skinned Taliban Spann and Tyson had picked out 6 days earlier survives. Of the original 600 Taliban, only 86 remain. And among the survivors is the man the CIA agents have identified as of particular interest. They confirm what they had originally suspected. He speaks English. At first, he claims his name is Suleiman Al-Faris. But then he reveals he is John Walker Lind, a 20-year-old student from California.
It was a sort of miracle that this guy was alive. But he garnered attention, not least because he was an American under Taliban, and that was just such a shock after 9/11. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it.
Overnight, the world learns that jihadis can be of any race, any color, any nationality. Terror can be homegrown. Under interrogation, Walker Lind confirms he met Osama bin Laden once at a training camp, but can reveal no intelligence on bin Laden's current hideout. Walker Lind is charged with consorting with the enemy and is serving a 20-year sentence with no prospect of parole. The CIA's hunt for Osama bin Laden must continue. In the fort, the US Special Forces retrieve the body of CIA agent Mike Spann. It had been booby-trapped by the Taliban. A CIA officer for 3 years and father of 3. He is the first American casualty in the war on terror, buried with full honors as an American hero. As for his colleague, Agent Tyson, despite his cover being blown by the TV crew, he remains working at the CIA. In operations reports, he has been referred to variously as Dave, Dawson, and Olson. His current identity and whereabouts is known only to a few.
Yeah, we went to the compound the next day just to say hello. Did you get home safely? Are you okay? I gave him my business card. I mean, obviously, he didn't give me any.
Only now has the depth of the CIA's involvement in Operation Enduring Freedom, the invasion of Afghanistan, been revealed.
A tiny handful of Special Forces soldiers from the CIA mainly basically managed to roll back the Taliban with air power across the whole of the north of the country within a matter of weeks.
The work of the CIA's interrogators like Mike Spann and Dave Tyson in those early days provides crucial information in the pursuit of al-Qaeda and the hunt for Osama bin Laden.
This was the main source of intelligence on this organization for a period of years, was being able to sit across the table in an interrogation booth from somebody who'd been recently captured and then persuade that person to give up as much information as possible.
Information that after over a decade of dedication, in May 2011, leads the CIA to a private compound in Abbottabad in Pakistan. And to the death of America's most wanted, Osama bin Laden.